So in a few moments we'll have Pulsating Cyst, and so in the meantime I'm gonna play something from Josh Lay, a CD I was just handed from Obfuscated Records. All right, Steve, here's the moment we've been waiting for. Please welcome Pulsating Cyst. on Open Window Show and Kill Radio. were just listening to Pulsating Cyst. That's Pulsating Cyst. Steve, you got the headphones on. That was pretty intense.
That was very intense. I wish I could like put the headphones over the microphone so you get like the intensity of it. Thank you. It was like very intense. I was going through some images. I felt like it was where was I? Kind of middle, like I forget where I was. Like in the middle of a stream, some kind of like lake stream. And I get like images of water flowing. And I had images of somebody walking through my head just a couple of minutes ago.
Somebody walking through your head?
That's what it felt like.
Wow.
No, it was beautiful. Thank you. I was just.
So Adrian, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you bringing your equipment in here and doing such a great set.
Yeah, no problem.
It was really, I mean, for me, it was probably the closest thing that reminded me or brought me to was, and probably because of the Mars thing today, was the movie Forbidden Planet.
Yeah.
Kind of some of it was similar. Oh, the phone's ringing. So yeah, you know, it kind of brought me to that kind of place, like really like a whole other dimensional
radio
experience.
Yeah, I definitely would cite
cool.
the soundtrack of Forbidden Planet as being sort of an inspiration.
Thank you very much, man.
I think we have a caller. I think we're going to put the caller on live, right?
Hold on for a minute. It's Henry, put him on.
Oh, it's Henry, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 seconds, and I'll...
that Henry? I know that Henry.
Is this Henry? Henry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Henry Barnes. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for calling in. You were listening, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, how many chords does that guy have, man?
I've got a lot of chords.
He must have a lot of chords because there's a lot going on.
Yeah. He
Amazing.
does. I don't know if you stretched it all out, how far would it be, you know?
That was
I've got more at home.
That was much better than I saw him live at the when he played at Samwer's place.
Oh, over at the Handbag Factory.
The Handbag, yeah. I mean, there everybody was just trying to be super loud, and it just turned into a jumble of just, you know.
Was that?
In this, you could hear different things going on, you know.
Was that
it was much more articulated?
Was that the Bastard Noise show?
Than what I heard of him before. So yeah, that just was definitely pulsating.
Cool.
So how are you doing?
I'm kind of tired.
Are you on the radio right now?
Yeah. This is a recording. At the tone.
You sent a robot.
What's up?
Hey, everybody out there in Radio Land.
Yeah, you're on.
Stream it live all over the world.
You're on the internet.
Thanks for calling in, Henry. What are you up to? Did you have the stereo up loud?
Yeah. Vote for the guy that his first name starts with O and his last name starts with B. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.
Thanks for calling,
Henry. That was an honor. Thank you. So yeah, he that's an honor to have someone of his caliber listening in on the show.
Sweet. Henry's been a long time fan, I'd say.
Nice, because you did that one show with Bastard Noise, you said, and
well, I'm not. I think I remember meeting him back at Echo Curio, maybe before then, but I think he came to one of my circuit bending workshops. You know, and you guys were talking about human resources recently, and you know, Grant's on the board of that, and he was running, or one of the people running Echo Curio.
Right.
So I'm glad they've started up a new
it's
venue.
It's gonna. I mean, it has to continue. You know, it's gonna pop up again somewhere. I'm just gonna play some more of this. What's his name? Josh Lay. So this is a release on your label.
Yeah.
which is Obfuscated Records.
Obfuscated Records.
So how do people find that?
Obfuscatedrecords.com.
Excellent.
It's obfuscated. Actually, I think it comes up pretty high on if you just type in obfuscated. It comes up high on the list there.
Okay.
Along with Pulsating Cyst.
That's a yeah. You also find some
really gnarly
medical shit. That's really
Yeah, I was looking for kind of a B horror sci-fi movie kind of title, and I came across this video of some veterinarians removed this cyst from a cat that was probably like 3 inches in diameter.
Oh God!
And it was pulsating on its own after it was removed. That was the inspiration for the name.
Oh man!
The image I get is like this big cyst, like beating like a heart.
Yeah, I don't really understand how something like that, works, but
right. I don't understand that, but God, but definitely your sounds have that kind of like, I don't know if the word organic is right, but definitely there's the pulsing. You're really into the stereo field, utilizing the panning.
Yeah. I mean, previous projects I had done were, not mono, but so I really wanted to spatialize this project, and which is pretty easy to do with just auto panners and whatnot.
Right.
You don't even really need that much to get it to work. And I've had some really good effects in live environments where you'll have the sound will pop through and kind of rotate around the room and then disappear again.
So,
it doesn't always come out, but I really love it when that happens.
Well, what I really liked about the last set that we were describing, the one you played in the Handbag Factory, is how you have the projection going of like an oscilloscope wave.
Yeah.
That's like constantly in motion, projected onto you and onto a screen behind you. With I think maybe more than one projector.
Yeah, I did. When I played at the Dissonance party in San Francisco a couple of months ago, I had three projectors all kind of in a row.
Wow.
I mean, it was a larger space, so
okay.
It worked better. And they were suitably bright. I'd like to get some brighter, projectors or one of the other acts that played that night was Nautical Almanac, and they had a really nice visual, performance using video, orthographic projections, LEDs, and some lasers, and I've seen other people do this where they take a laser and they just point it off. It just is bouncing off a speaker or something.
Okay.
I'd like to, if possible, replace the projectors with a much more controlled laser to draw the beams, because it would be so much brighter. But
right.
But it's a good visual element. Really see the
remember that, Steve?
Form.
Yeah, I would love to see the visuals on that. I wish we could do project it out to the radio audience, but I would love to see that. I really would.
Kill TV.
Yeah, there we go. We need to start that.
It's better than MTV, really. Now, I just wanted to say too that it took me back to the relics area of Pink Floyd. I was just getting kind of images. I was getting back to like Careful with That Axe, Eugene, kind of thing. It was like going back to that one.
Definitely.
I'm really trying hard to say, like, describe the images going through my head, but it was very imagery for me.
Well, just to, with that water sound was a field recording that I did in Maui recently.
Oh,
wow!
There was this beach that had some sections with, lava that obviously had been there for a while, but there were big holes in it, and there was this one that you could kind of walk down into that was like this big bathtub with water splashing around in it, and then there was in the same area a blowhole, which is just another hole in the lava. I didn't actually see it spray the water up, but I guess if the tide's really rough, it's kind of like a geyser.
Wow.
But it wasn't working when I was there. But I've never actually went to see it. But there's a wave organ in San Francisco somewhere that was built by this sculptor, and it works based on the tide. And I guess to really get the effect, you have to go up there super early, and I've just never been up there where where that was convenient, but I'd love to go check that out. But he's built these chambers that somehow are pushing air through it and makes these acoustically amplified sounds. So I'd really like to check that out sometime.
That's in Hawaii, or where's it?
That's in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, it's just kind of a similar concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh God, that sounds incredible. So,
but I think it's called the wave organ. So like
the wave organ.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you Google that, you should find where that's at in San Fran.
So it reminded me, last night Steve was there too. We went to this thing called Noisy by Nature, which was downtown. It was all guys who brought their modular equipment and synth stuff, and there were performances and demos from companies and people that build modules and stuff. So I noticed you have a little. What do you have there?
That's a Paya kit.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of, I've got some more modules at home that I need to finish putting together, but there's like an oscillator and some other modules, and it's pretty fun. It's kind of hard to patch things up on the fly, because some of the controls are so, you can get pretty dramatically different things, and just a few switches of the cables can produce really different results, but it's pretty good for experimentation. I kind of use it for like the main pulsation,
yeah
and bring in the other synths in there on top of it.
That's really great. How would you describe in general what you're doing with Pulsating Cyst? Would you call it like ambient noise kind of thing, or is there a category?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's as. I'm trying to do achieve a certain sound, and and it may stray from that, but a lot. I got when I started getting into this kind of stuff, it was in kind of the late 80s, and some of my favorite acts at the time were like Throbbing Gristle and Nocturnal Emissions,
right?
Nigel Ayers and groups like that, and especially Nocturnal Emissions at the time had, I just haven't heard a whole lot of groups like that since then, and it's kind of
Yeah.
at least the way he was producing work then was particular albums. I'm thinking of like Duty Cycle and whatnot are probably mostly studio-based albums, a lot of collage and editing. He's not really, I don't know, I mean, he seems to be doing more musical, but he's still doing collage stuff today. I don't know. I've heard a couple of different things from him, but nothing like that anymore. So, I mean, I'm not trying to imitate,
Yeah.
that, but that's still a really big,
Right.
inspiration and influence. But definitely more on the organic side, synthesis.
Right.
A mixture of, sometimes using field recordings.
Yeah, right.
That kind of stuff.
But kind of in general, coming out of the industrial culture,
Yeah.
the early industrial culture, which was like so wide open for experimentation and all those different kind of things that you just mentioned. But people that were probably really influenced by like the Beats and Burroughs and all that crazy literature and art, and then the early like electronic stuff, I'm guessing, like probably like the Stockhausen, all that weirdness, like
I mean, I've been thinking
Music
of,
Concrete.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I haven't done anything directly with tape editing in a long time.
Mhm.
But I think about doing that. Actually, one kind of interesting. I don't know if I'll ever have time for this, but back in the day, if you wanted to do time compression or time expansion, which
Mhm.
is ubiquitous now if you think
Right.
about like auto tuning and that kind of stuff,
Yep.
not as easy to do. And the way that it was accomplished was basically you play back the tape at the speed that you want it to play back at, but then you've got a rotating head, a cylinder with actual multiple heads on it that's sliding at a different speed across the tape, and essentially what it does is it kind of causes spaced segments to overlap. Thus, and because it's moving at a different rate, it pitches it down. So like you're playing the tape back fast, but this is playing at a different speed, and it pitch corrects it and moves those sections together, which is just, there's not a lot of information about. I've been trying to research these decks, and there's only one right now, only one source for any info on it that I found, and it's the guy Wendy Carlos,
Yeah.
the woman, I should say.
Yeah. Wendy
Did I guess when she was a young man,
Yeah.
she was working in a some kind of dubbing house.
Okay.
And they had this thing called I think it was called the Eltro data rate converter, and they would get like these taped books that needed to be time compressed, and they'd use this device. And I was looking at the Music Concrete entry on Wikipedia just actually tonight, and found mention of another device. I can't quite remember it's something similar, but couldn't find any other information about it online. But basically, when tape recorders started to become readily available, all these sound experimenters went nuts over them and had all sorts of interesting devices to manipulate tape and to use tape as like a sampler. There was this other device that somehow it had you put a tape loop on it, and the tape was kind of threaded through all these different sized spindles, and depending on, and it had a little keyboard, and you'd press a note and a key, and that key starts turning one of the spindles, and the diameter of the spindle somehow changes the pitch of the tape. and there's some pictures of it. But so that's kind of an interesting solution to a problem. So but it gets me thinking again about doing more, sample based stuff too. But probably using modern stuff. But I still have tape decks, and it's just so much easier to do it digitally.
Yeah, it's just more convenient and stuff.
Yeah, I haven't been able to really get into like Ableton or anything like that. I mean, although in theory it seems like it would be a much easier way to do similar things.
Yeah, I really like Acid Pro, the Sony one, which is really pretty much the same thing. But it's really great.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess well, I mean, I've done some work with Pure Data, and I used Max in college for MIDI.
Yeah? Oh.
It didn't have any kind of digital audio stuff back then.
Okay.
We had, I mean, like I was just using it on a Mac Plus at one point.
Okay.
8-bit audio at best.
So
and
so
yeah,
you were getting into the computer music stuff way early.
Yeah, I mean,
MIDI and all that.
Yeah, I mean, well, I did some stuff in like high school, a little bit towards end of high school, and had a couple bands, and studied analog synthesis for a semester, and then digital sampling for another semester in college, and kind of integrated that into all the other stuff that I was doing, but and had a long hiatus after college from producing any music, and then like in 2004 got into circuit bending.
Okay.
And ended up doing like more noise-based work again,
Right.
And I don't really consider, there's an overlap with what I'm doing with noise. I don't know if it's, if you call it straight up, noise is just kind of another word for experimental.
Yeah.
I mean, I have other projects. They're definitely like harsh noise or power electronics.
Yeah. What are those projects?
Well, X2GEF would be probably. That was the project I started when I got into circuit bending.
Right.
And right now, I'm pretty much focused on doing more work as Pulsating Cyst.
Okay.
And I've got a bunch of unreleased material that I'm trying to get together to publish. Probably going to release something on, Steve and Dustin's label,
Love Earth.
Yeah. And probably going to put something out on Obfuscated. I'm hoping for a glow in the dark 45.
Oh wow!
Well, 7-inch. It'll probably be 33, but
7-inch glow in the dark.
I'm
nice.
hoping to have that together by the NorCal Noise Festival. But
yeah. Okay. So you're gonna play that?
Yeah.
This year?
That'll be Pulsating Cyst.
Oh, excellent.
And
I imagine Dog will probably play and.
Yeah, I'm not. Off the top of my head, I don't know that. I don't think they're going. I don't think Actuary's doing it this year.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit of a haul. I think they got nailed for speeding last year or something.
That's awful.
Yeah, I got a speeding ticket going up there recently.
You
got to watch the grapevine. The cops are.
The grapevine.
Sneaking. The pigs are out there.
It's expensive anyway with the gas, so
Yeah, and they're
changing.
I don't know how long it'll be before it's done, but they're building the high-speed rail.
Oh, okay,
but it's still like $90 each way.
Oh, is it?
So it's kind of like, I mean,
you're
it's
gonna spend $100 in gas, like going up there and back. I
yeah,
guess, or
it's
more.
not that much cheaper, and then you got to get to wherever you're going from the train. So I don't know, but that's cool.
A lot. I mean, you played that. What was that festival you said? Dissonance?
Yeah, the Dissonance. Not as much. It's been. It's been. I haven't done nearly as many out of town shows as previously. So.
What about you? Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the artist that we're listening to, Josh Lay?
Yeah, well, Josh is from both these guys are from the Midwest, and this was a project that needed a label, and so I picked it up.
So it's Josh Lay and Crown of Bone.
Dustin was one half of a group called Demonologists that I guess is broken up, and mostly doing like harsh noise, harsh noise wall kind of material. Dustin's been doing a lot of splits and collaborations with other groups, and I've got some other material of his that will probably be coming out pretty soon. I have a pretty big batch of releases that I'm hoping to have out in the next couple of months.
Oh, excellent.
It's the last 4 months I was really buried under the day job.
Oh, yeah.
So things are kind of slow right now, so that's why I was able to come tonight.
Great.
Oh, that's a good thing. Well, it worked out. I mean, it was in the stars. I don't know if it was slow, but it worked beautifully. I had a question. Like, when you get an idea, how do you evolve your idea? Is it you structured, if that's the right word? Is it like improv? You kind of just.
Well, this project is pretty. I mean, it's improvised. I might have like material, or I want to try this configuration, or I've got this new piece of gear that I want to throw in there. I don't know. I mean, I usually don't bring stuff out on a show that it's going to significantly change how the setup is, but there'll be like, fine. I set everything up yesterday.
Wow.
And did a test drive and brought it, but this is kind of like my regular setup. And like a rarity where I can like carry everything into the venue in one trip. For my other project, I mean, I have songs and.
Oh wow!
But it's not like they can sound completely different, between performances. But they'll have, some of them have vocals, but there might be certain sounds that are common from performance to performance.
That's a lot of material that you're carrying around. I mean, that's. God. Well,
it was funny that the one of the last times I played at the Handbag Factory, there was this guy there who I guess he'd never been to a noise show before, but he was kind of like this old rocker dude.
Oh yeah.
And he was really digging everything.
Really?
Yeah, man. He was and he was really blown away by how much gear everybody had brought. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the Smegma show, and there was. I mean, everyone had brought every fucking piece of gear they had.
Really?
I mean, it was ridiculous. And so he was like tripping on that and the amount of setup, and then we'd play for like 15 minutes. I mean, Smegma played for a long time, but it's kind of like we joke about that a lot at shows. Is like you come in and you usually are setting up longer than you play, and I don't know. It's some people might not like this concept, but it's kind of like racing cars or something. Where you put a lot of work into these things up front, and then you do this thing, and it's over pretty quick. But you get this whatever rush out of it, or.
So you kind of like going 0 to 120, and it's kind of over.
Yeah. But that's whatever. It is what it is, and I don't have a problem with that so much. But
had you ever met Dylan here? He's still here from his set earlier.
I think so.
I think you guys maybe.
All right.
Used to work at Echo Curio, yeah. Because I know you played there at Echo Curio and Il Corral and all that stuff. So I'm sure you guys know each other from. Usually, if there's like, we've had this happen before where we've had two guests from totally different worlds that did know each other from just from different places or whatever.
Yeah. I haven't been by. Well, I guess I went over to that location recently, or sometime this year, to drop off flyers, but I don't remember. The last time I went by the Il Corral, it was a medical marijuana dispensary. I don't know if it still is. It's like,
I heard.
Is it? Okay.
I heard that somebody built a studio in there or something. I don't know.
I guess. You mean like an audio studio?
Yeah, like a recording studio, like. Synchronicity is still. You can step under the mic if you want. Synchronicity is over there by where Pure Luck, next to Pure Luck, used to be.
Yeah, it's a really small space though, right? But it's smaller than the one that they had.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it looks cool. Are they still doing shows, or randomly?
As far as I know, yeah, they were, but not as many as they used to.
Yeah.
I think they were kind of getting burned out on doing too many shows.
That was the first place I had a Pulsating Cyst show. I mean, the original location.
Oh yeah, over there on Melrose.
On Melrose, yeah.
That's the thing. I really got to give credit to the people who run these venues, and people who stand at the door, and people who just show up after their day job and just in the middle of the week and just deal with the shows, and it's just so much hard work, and it's like, what's that? What do you got there on your knuckles? Echo Curio address on your knuckle there?
Yeah. Well, on my knuckles I got 1966, but I got a 5 just to point out 1519. I used to work door at Echo Curio, and long live the Curio.
Yeah, I miss the Echo.
We really appreciate those guys, for doing that.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was pretty interesting what Grant was, telling me about trying to actually get the permits, and it was like this, Brazil kind of bureaucracy, get this form, go back downstairs, pay a fee, go back upstairs, sit in some weird instructional course. Just, but I guess it didn't work out.
What is it? What do you think, Steve? What do you think it is about it threatens the city so much about an experimental do-it-yourself venue? I mean, I just don't get it.
It's exactly that. It's an experimental do-it-yourself venue. I mean, you were kind of like, you're getting into another dimension, and you're kind of rattling people's cages. What you're doing.
I guess.
Well, I mean, I couldn't believe, the Il Corral lasted as long as it did without, I mean, Christy told me that at one point there were detectives coming by but they never shut them. It never added up to anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the net result of that was that the Sean Carnage shows went somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's you got an illegal venue with serving alcohol. It's it's always like a trouble.
Yeah,
trouble in the waiting to happen.
That's true.
I'm sorry. Don't look for an excuse to shut you down. Is what's going on. I mean.
Oh yeah, I mean but I mean, I guess it was just surprising to me that when they tried to open, was it 0 Point?
Yeah.
I mean, like they got shut down real fast.
Yeah, that was bullshit. I remember that. That was a great space too.
Yeah, but I guess not even worsely soundproofed then.
Yeah.
But I think they had problems with people going outside and
that's true,
making noise.
I remember when Kill Sonic played there. Remember those guys? It was like that. It's like kind of like a gypsy like brass orchestra.
Oh my god!
And then they marched outside and went all the way down the block and then finished their set in front of that bar that was down the street there.
Oh man! No, I never saw that.
That was such a weird incident because it was like the whole time like Christy, like I remember they were just freaking out. Oh god, cops are gonna show up, and I remember like a police car whizzed by like cruising really fast, but like past for a second it was like, oh my god, they're gonna stop.
They're here.
And the cops just blasted at like 50 miles an hour down South Central Boulevard.
More interesting.
And it was like such a cool spot because it was like kind of run down and shitty, but it was like they had like there you'd see this little historical marker like this was the historic jazz district of Los Angeles from like the 40s, where it was like there were hundreds of clubs down this street, and there's this one like on top of the building right next to there. They had this chicken sign, and it was like this was like the chicken spot that everyone would go to late night after going to the jazz clubs.
Oh,
back in the day
for chicken.
Yeah, and you would never know that. But that was pretty cool.
Excuse me for saying it. I'm going to say it anyway. If you were playing mariachi music, I didn't think anybody would complain.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe.
You just got to alternate nights,
Yeah.
It was more of that going down. That was more noisy than what we were putting on.
I want to hear somebody combine like harsh noise and mariachi music. That'd be kind of cool.
Well,
I would like to
it's
hear
not
the
mariachi
ranchero
music, but one of the releases I'm putting out soon is these guys from the Yucatan.
Oh yeah.
Called X-Toll. I'm not probably not pronouncing it correctly, but XTUL.
Is it like a Mayan word or something, or?
I'm not sure, but it's kind of a harsh noise wall type, project, which is funny because like
wow.
I was in the Yucatan a couple of years ago.
Oh wow!
And much to my wife's dismay, I did try to set up a show there, and I kind of got reduced to just doing a field recording, but
okay.
But I couldn't. I kind of made a couple of contacts, but I mean, it wasn't. I can't remember what cities. There is some venue down there that has experimental shows on a regular basis, but it wasn't really like. I don't know if it was the right time of year or whatever, but there were a bunch of festivals going. I mean, like there was some. There was like a religious festival going on right as we left. So that probably overrode like everything, but yeah, if I go down there again, maybe I could play with those guys.
It sounds like it would be pretty great. So how you found out about those guys on your trip, or you?
No, they found me
Uh-huh.
more recently. So I mean, I haven't really been soliciting for demos. But people like, hey, check out my check out this material, and I've gotten some, pretty good inquiries. And I thought it was cool that these guys were from Mexico and from the Yucatan, and I went to cool. Yeah, because I went down. It was actually my honeymoon, but the big attraction for me was climbing on some of the ruins and
oh man, I would love
seeing it. I've been wanting to do that for a long time.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been.
Yeah. So that was really
that must have
fun.
been something. Must have been inspiring.
It was getting stopped by the federales was only slightly scary.
Oh man.
Anytime you see a guy with a machine gun, it's a little upsetting.
I bet.
I've never seen like a truckload of guys with Uzis in the city. Like just.
Yeah, it sounds like the Philippines under Marcos and martial law.
Yeah. Well, we it's. We were talking to somebody down there, and they were saying, most of the troubles in northern, Mexico, and but it used to be they would stop people going north because all the drugs were going north, and now they've got drugs going north and guns coming south. So it was kind of like, and we went through Merida, which is a port town, and I guess there's been some trafficking through there, and we got stopped on the highway when we were headed up that direction at one point, and but other than that, everything seemed pretty chill. But you're driving through vast, emptiness through a lot of it, and we did quite a bit of driving, pretty much from one end of the Yucatan to the other. That was a pretty hard drive.
Really?
Yeah, it was just like like 8 hours. In one day, but
that's a long drive.
It's just and we weren't used to seeing like just fires, and like the first time we encountered one of these roadside fires, I'm like, what the? It's like a forest fire. What's going on? And then we drove through it, and then we saw like these, school children just kind of like walking around like there was nothing going on, and that's how they clear fields. It's just
okay.
There's probably people watching it, or tending it, but that's. And the next time we were in the air, flying out or whatever, you could see plumes of smoke from whatever areas that we were clearing. But you just think about how dry it is, and how do you keep that from going nuts?
Yeah, being from here, you're used to like these massive fires.
Engulf
the whole city with smoke.
Yeah.
Everybody freaks out, and it takes weeks to put it out sometimes.
Yeah, it's really
devastating. Yeah,
devastating. But again, it's like there's not a whole lot of like dense population, so it's like it's not so much of a threat. But what year was this? I think it was 2007. I did a tour with Andy Bolus, otherwise known as Evil Moisture.
Okay, yeah.
And that was the year of the big Santa Monica fire. And as we were leaving LA, we drove through it, and it was like sky turned orange. It was low visibility on the road because the smoke was blowing over it. It was pretty surreal. He was, he'd been to the States before, but he'd never, been in a car. We had just started out on the trip, but he'd never driven through the States, any part of it, so that was kind of a weird trip.
What an introduction.
A good way to start it, yeah. But yeah.
So I see that you have a record here.
Yeah,
which
that's
you co-released
that
Love
with
Earth, which
that's
is
right.
Merzbow. It's a split Merzbow and Actuary called Freak Hallucinations, 12-inch.
Yeah, we just got these records maybe about 2 months ago, and I mean, it'd been kind of in the works since earlier this year, and you know, I think it's gotten pretty good response. It's really, I mean, the project's really Dustin's brainchild.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of co-produced it, and you know, and I mean, I've known about, you know, Merzbow from, I guess, the early, you know, when I first got into stuff in the 80s.
Yeah.
I actually saw him play in Chicago in like the mid 90s. It was a really, really loud show. Really loud. And I wasn't really into, like, you know, noise at that point, so it was like, you know, this friend of mine was like, well, I mean, I wasn't like, again, when I started out doing stuff, it was like Nurse with Wound and Nocturnal Emissions, Throbbing Crystals. I think that was like, that show was like, that was like the harshest thing I'd ever seen at that point. And but this friend of mine, this guy that I worked with, it was like, oh, you gotta go to the show, and so yeah, it was kind of like quite experiential. I think the only other show that made my ears ring as long was like this AC/DC show that I went to in high school.
That's cool.
Now that you mentioned, I had a question. What were you into before you got into noise? I mean, you into other music forms?
Well, I mean, I've listened to a lot of different types of music. You know, I mean, right now, what's in my car stereo, I guess, if you will, is I've got a couple of noise releases, and then I was listening to a lot of releases by Download, which is Kevin Key's. You know,
he was there last
Skinny
night
Puppy.
at that event.
Really?
Kevin Key, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like something.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been seeing him. You know, I guess he lives in LA.
Yeah.
And so I've been kind of following up with that. You know, that work that he did. I like a lot of electronic music.
Yeah.
But I'm really not up to date with, like, you know, a lot of current big names. I mean, I still like, you know, obscure stuff and things that have been around. You know, I don't know. Like I don't listen to Skrillex or what the kids are listening
popular
to.
dubstep stuff.
I mean, I like certain aspects of that, but
yeah, there's some good stuff out there.
Yeah, but I'm just not really in touch with what's cool or whatever.
There's a question I popped up. Everybody comes in. Are you into Freebird? Joke.
Oh, seriously?
Joke. No, never mind. No, it's just
Southern rock.
Yeah.
Actually, what did get you into noise? I do ask this question to all the noise artists come in because I find it fascinating, like a transition.
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I guess I went to an out-of-state school my senior year in high school, and I lived in a dorm, and you know, it was a fine arts program, and they had a music program and dance and theater, and so I met a lot of people who obviously had, you know, more knowledge about this kind of experimental music than I had been able to get in touch with growing up in a, you know, football college town in South Carolina.
Yeah, I could duplicate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and although, I mean, you know, in later years there were some, you know, small record stores that stocked that kind of stuff, but not when I was in junior high school. I can't imagine. I mean, like, well, early on, I mean, I'd have to say things like the Marx Brothers or Frank Zappa, even the Talking Heads, or I'm still a big fan of Devo.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those were my stepping stones, towards noise, if you will, having an open mind, towards that kind of experimental music, and and so, like, in high school, really big Butthole Surfers fan,
Nice.
Alien Sex Fiends, Christian Death, which is a pretty, maybe strange mix right there.
Yeah.
And then, suddenly I'm listening to, Throbbing Gristle, Psychic TV,
Right.
Nocturnal Emissions, Poison Gas Research, Soviet France.
Okay, yeah, all that more industrial, experimental kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so my neighbors in the dorm sold me, this old beat up electric guitar, and I restrung it with just steel wire, and I had this stereo receiver that had broken knobs on it, and it was like, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was kind of circuit bent, and made my first tape recording using that, and I don't know if it would. I still have the recordings, but I mean, it's not bad,
Nice.
even by today's standard, but totally like no effects, just fucked up guitar, and and self-modulating, amplifiers and this kind of stuff, and then after that, I mean, I had a couple of bands, and where we were, it was more like kind of the Surfers type, material, and and I kind of continued on that for a while, and started messing around with multi-track, recording, and had a Casio, sampler, and and then kind of was trying to do, more like beat-based stuff in college, and I had like an Oberheim OB8 at one point that was really cool, but it had this really great arpeggiator on it, but it would lock up. I think it probably needed some servicing, and I sold it, which I wish I hadn't have sold it now.
Wow.
But it'd be really, really hard to replace at this point. I mean, probably have to pay twice as much to get one again. But
but you
I moved from Chicago to San Francisco, and I sold most of, or a good bit of, the outboard gear that I had, and I didn't really do anything. After that move, I kind of didn't do any audio for a long time, and one of the guys I was working with in San Francisco happened to. Well, he's a musician, and he's friends with Jack Dangers from Big Manifesto, and Jack came over one day with a circuit bent Speak and Spell. I didn't know what this was at the time. I'd never heard of circuit bending, and I don't think he described it as being circuit bent, but I mean, I'm not sure who did the work. If it was, I'd be interested to know who did that particular one, if it's somebody that's still around or not. But it sounded really technical. Like, how do you just open up this piece of electronics and make these weird sounds? And it just didn't occur to me. And So that kind of percolated for like, a year or so, and then I moved down to LA, or down here, and circuit bending kept coming up, and I've always been into tinkering, with electronics, and so this kind of sparked my interest in it again.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I bought some stuff off eBay that was already bent, and took it apart and was like, oh, this is, I can do this, and so started bending stuff after that, and that's really what got me back into making noise. And
nice.
It kind of reminds me of the story Henry was telling. That's the same thing. He was tinkering around with his guitar amplifier, and his noises were coming out. Just evolved with it, and that was like the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I'm sure I've heard a lot of people, talk about, having toys with the weak battery and like, kind of getting tuning into that. There's lots of ways that you can kind of accidentally, stumble upon it, and I think that's what's really cool about it is it kind of diminishes this mystery about electronics. I mean, don't get me wrong, like designing something from scratch is like with a particular purpose in mind can be really difficult, but to eliminate that, to just get over that hurdle of like I can like just stick my hand in here and like make it do something is like so it can really get people inspired to do something more than they would have. And I feel like I've inspired a few people that way, and it's really good. I've been trying. I haven't had time to do a workshop in a while. I tried to plan to do one earlier in the year, and I couldn't do it. And so I'd like to be able to do more workshops.
That'd be great. You should.
But that's how you open doors, maybe open windows. I mean,
yeah, you gotta open the windows
to new ideas. It sounds so fascinating that you could tinker around and you got not just a noise but a new concept. It must be like liberating, like very liberating.
I mean, electronics are really intimidating, and it's when someone can make. I mean, again. Don't plug something into the wall and stick your hands in there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Don't try to sit home. No.
Glad you said that.
But take something battery powered.
There you go.
And when I say battery, I mean like, AA batteries, not a car battery.
Right.
Just gotta put the disclaimer out there. And take any audio making battery powered game, audio making device, and take the back off and lick your fingers and touch around on the tracing and see what sounds you can get out of it. But don't sue me if you electrocute yourself. But you won't, so don't worry about it.
If you're not careful, you get hit like mine.
Yeah. But no, I mean, as anything that's battery powered, there's very little, possibility. Yeah. The guy that coined the term circuit bending, Reed Ghazala, like the speak and spells kind of devices, they have like D-size batteries in them, and they can give you a little bit more of a shock than a 9-volt or whatever, but it still is highly unlikely you're gonna hurt yourself. But I've never heard of anybody doing anything significant, so doing themselves any harm at any rate. So,
well, I think we should probably wind down at this point. Is there anything else you can think of?
Well, I'm gonna have real fun at work tomorrow. Keeping me up late.
That's what we're good at. Sorry.
Very good at it, really.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun early morning. So yeah, we better wind down. So thanks everyone for listening.
Oh, you could
Awesome.
just
Thanks for having me.
you give give your boss my number, and I'll take full responsibility for
No,
that.
it's okay. That's cool. It's all cool. There's no problem. There's no problem.
Okay. Have a good night.